What I'm about to share with you today might completely change how you think about food storage, especially if you're over 60. You see, there are 4 common foods that millions of seniors store in their refrigerators every single day, believing they're keeping them fresh and safe. But here's the shocking truth that the food industry doesn't want you to know. These foods, when stored in your refrigerator, can actually become silent health destroyers, slowly poisoning your body in ways you never imagined. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can putting food in the refrigerator be dangerous? After all, we've been taught our entire lives that cold storage keeps food safe, right? Well, that's exactly what makes this so dangerous. It's the false sense of security that's putting your health at serious risk. You see, as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to toxins, bacteria, and chemical changes in food. What might not affect a 30-year-old can have devastating consequences for someone over 60. Your immune system isn't as strong as it once was. Your digestive system processes food differently, and your liver and kidneys, which are responsible for filtering out toxins, aren't working at full capacity anymore. The 4 foods I'm going to reveal today are probably sitting in your refrigerator right now. They look innocent enough. They might even smell fine. But inside, dangerous chemical reactions are taking place that could be contributing to inflammation in your joints, brain fog that's getting worse each day, digestive problems that keep you up at night, and even more serious health issues that doctors struggle to diagnose because they never suspect your refrigerator could be the culprit. This isn't about scaring you. This is about empowering you with knowledge that could literally add years to your life and life to your years. By the time you finish watching this video, you'll know exactly which foods to remove from your refrigerator today, and more importantly, you'll discover the proper way to store them so they actually benefit your health instead of harming it. Here's what makes this information so critical for anyone over 60. Your body has been faithfully serving you for decades, but it's also been accumulating the effects of poor food storage habits that nobody ever warned you about. Every day that you continue storing these 4 foods in your refrigerator, you're adding to a toxic burden that your aging body is struggling to handle. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening. When you store certain foods in the cold, humid environment of your refrigerator, you're creating the perfect breeding ground for harmful bacteria that produce toxins. These aren't the kind of bacteria that make you sick immediately. These are the sneaky ones that slowly poison your system over months and years. Think about it this way. Your refrigerator might be keeping food from spoiling on the outside, but on the inside, at the cellular level, dangerous changes are occurring. Enzymes are breaking down, natural preservatives are being destroyed, and worst of all, compounds are forming that can trigger inflammation throughout your entire body. Now, inflammation after 60 isn't just about achy joints, although that's certainly part of it. Chronic inflammation has been linked to nearly every age-related health condition you can think of. Heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, digestive disorders, sleep problems, and even depression. All of these conditions share one common thread: chronic inflammation. And here's the part that will really surprise you. The food industry knows about these storage problems, but they've designed their packaging and marketing to keep you in the dark. They want you to buy their products and store them the way that's most convenient for them, not necessarily the way that's safest for you. But today, that changes. Today, you're going to learn the truth about proper food storage that could revolutionize your health. You'll discover why some of the most nutritious foods become toxic when stored incorrectly, and how making simple changes to where and how you store these 4 foods can help reduce inflammation, improve your digestion, boost your energy levels, and even sharpen your mental clarity. The best part? These aren't expensive changes or complicated procedures. These are simple adjustments that any senior can make starting today, and the benefits begin almost immediately. Now, before we dive into these 4 dangerous foods, I want to know if you're truly committed to protecting your health. If you've been experiencing unexplained fatigue, digestive issues, joint pain, or that frustrating brain fog that seems to get worse each year, I want you to type the number 1 in the comments below. This will help me understand how many of you are dealing with these issues that could be directly related to improper food storage. And if you haven't experienced these symptoms yet, but you want to prevent them from starting, type the number 2 in the comments. Your participation helps me create content that addresses your specific health concerns. Also, if you're serious about taking control of your health after 60, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I share life-changing health information specifically designed for seniors every week, and you don't want to miss any of these important updates. Remember, knowledge is power, but only when you act on it. So stay with me through this entire video because I'm going to give you specific, actionable steps you can take today to protect yourself from these hidden dangers lurking in your own refrigerator. The first dangerous food, potatoes. Let me start with something that's probably sitting in your refrigerator right now. Potatoes. Now, I know your mother probably taught you to store potatoes in a cool, dark place, and you might think the refrigerator fits that description perfectly. But here's the dangerous truth about refrigerating potatoes that could be affecting your health in ways you never imagined. When you store potatoes in your refrigerator, the cold temperature causes the starch in the potatoes to convert into sugar. Now, that might not sound dangerous at first, but here's where it gets scary. When you cook those cold stored potatoes at high temperatures, frying, baking, or roasting them, those extra sugars combine with an amino acid called asparagine to form a compound called acrylamide. Acrylamide is a known neurotoxin and potential carcinogen. For seniors, whose nervous systems are already more vulnerable, exposure to acrylamide can contribute to cognitive decline, memory problems, and even increase the risk of certain types of cancer. Studies have shown that older adults who regularly consume foods high in acrylamide have significantly higher rates of cognitive impairment. But here's what makes this even more concerning for people over 60. Your body's ability to detoxify and eliminate harmful compounds decreases with age. So while a younger person might be able to process and eliminate acrylamide relatively efficiently, your aging liver and kidneys struggle to keep up. This means acrylamide can accumulate in your system over time, causing increasing damage. I've had patients tell me they've been storing potatoes in their refrigerator for decades without any problems. But the effects of acrylamide exposure are cumulative and often don't show up until years later. That memory issue you've been attributing to normal aging, that could be partially due to years of acrylamide exposure from improperly stored potatoes. The proper way to store potatoes is in a cool, dark, but not cold place. A pantry, basement, or even a dark corner of your kitchen counter works much better than your refrigerator. Keep them between 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit if possible, and always store them in a breathable container like a paper bag or basket, never in plastic. The second dangerous food, tomatoes. The second food that becomes dangerous when stored in your refrigerator is tomatoes. Now, this might surprise you because many people automatically put tomatoes in the refrigerator thinking they're extending their life. But for seniors, this common practice can actually create serious health risks. When you refrigerate tomatoes, you're destroying their natural antioxidant properties and creating conditions that promote the growth of harmful bacteria. The cold temperature breaks down the cell walls of the tomato, causing them to become mealy and lose their nutritional value. But more importantly, it creates microscopic entry points for bacteria to penetrate the fruit. Here's what's particularly dangerous for people over 60. Tomatoes stored in refrigerators often develop invisible bacterial contamination, particularly from Listeria and Salmonella. These bacteria thrive in the humid environment of your refrigerator and can multiply rapidly on the damaged surface of cold-stored tomatoes. For younger people, These bacteria might cause a day or two of stomach upset, but for seniors, bacterial infections can be life-threatening. Your immune system isn't as robust as it once was, and what starts as simple food poisoning can quickly escalate into serious complications requiring hospitalization. I remember treating a 68-year-old patient who ended up in the emergency room with severe dehydration and infection after eating tomatoes that had been stored in her refrigerator for just 3 days. The tomatoes looked perfectly fine, but laboratory tests revealed dangerous levels of harmful bacteria. There's another problem with refrigerating tomatoes that specifically affects seniors. The cold storage process destroys lycopene, the powerful antioxidant that gives tomatoes their red color and provides significant health benefits. Lycopene is particularly important for seniors because it helps protect against heart disease, certain cancers, and age-related macular degeneration. When you store tomatoes at room temperature, they continue to ripen and actually increase their lycopene content. But when you refrigerate them, this beneficial process stops completely, and existing lycopene begins to break down. For seniors who need all the antioxidant protection they can get, this is a significant loss. The proper way to store tomatoes is on your kitchen counter, stem side up, at room temperature. Only refrigerate them after they're fully ripe, if you need to extend their life by a day or two, but consume them quickly. Never store unripe or partially ripe tomatoes in the refrigerator. The third dangerous food, onions. The third food that becomes a health hazard when stored in your refrigerator is onions. This might shock you because onions seem so hardy and long-lasting. But storing whole onions in your refrigerator creates a perfect storm of conditions that can seriously threaten your health, especially after 60. When you put whole onions in your refrigerator, the moisture and confined space create ideal conditions for mold growth. But this isn't the visible mold you might notice on old bread. This is microscopic mold that penetrates deep into the onion layers, producing mycotoxins that are invisible to the naked eye but extremely dangerous to your health. Mycotoxins are among the most potent toxins found in food, and they're particularly dangerous for seniors. Your aging immune system has a harder time fighting off the effects of these toxins, and your liver, which is responsible for processing and eliminating them, isn't working as efficiently as it did when you were younger. Exposure to mycotoxins from moldy onions can cause a wide range of symptoms that are often mistaken for normal aging. Chronic fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, digestive problems, and even mood changes can all be linked to mycotoxin exposure. Many seniors suffer from these symptoms for years without realizing that their food storage habits could be the cause. Here's what makes this particularly insidious. Onions stored in refrigerators can look perfectly normal on the outside while harboring dangerous levels of mold and bacteria on the inside. You might cut into an onion that appears fresh and healthy, never knowing that you're exposing yourself to harmful toxins. There's another problem with refrigerating onions that affects their nutritional value. Onions contain powerful sulfur compounds that provide significant anti-inflammatory and immune-boosting benefits. But when stored in cold, moist conditions, these beneficial compounds begin to break down, leaving you with a product that not only lacks nutritional value, but may actually be harmful to your health. I've seen numerous senior patients who complained of persistent digestive issues and low-grade inflammation that cleared up completely once they stopped storing onions in their refrigerators. The connection isn't always obvious, which is why so many people continue these dangerous storage practices without realizing the impact on their health. The proper way to store whole onions is in a cool, dry, well-ventilated area like a pantry or basement. Keep them in a mesh bag or basket that allows air circulation, and never store them in plastic bags or airtight containers. Only refrigerate onions after they've been cut, and use them within a few days. The fourth dangerous food, bread. The fourth and perhaps most surprising food that becomes dangerous when stored in your refrigerator is bread. Most people think they're extending the life of their bread by refrigerating it. But for seniors, this common practice can create serious health risks that far outweigh any perceived benefits. When you store bread in your refrigerator, you're creating the perfect environment for a process called retrogradation. This is when the starch molecules in the bread reorganize themselves in a way that not only makes the bread taste stale, but also makes it much harder for your aging digestive system to process. Here's why this is particularly problematic for people over 60. Your digestive enzymes aren't as active as they once were, and your stomach doesn't produce as much acid as it did when you were younger. When you eat bread that's been stored in the refrigerator, your digestive system has to work much harder to break down those reorganized starch molecules. This increased digestive burden can lead to bloating, gas, abdominal discomfort, and even constipation. Many seniors who complain of digestive issues after eating bread don't realize that the problem isn't necessarily the bread itself, but how it's been stored. But there's an even more serious concern. Bread stored in refrigerators is prone to developing invisible mold that penetrates deep into the loaf. Unlike the obvious green or black mold you might see on old bread, this mold can be completely invisible to the naked eye while producing dangerous mycotoxins throughout the entire loaf. For seniors whose immune systems are already compromised, exposure to these mycotoxins can cause a range of health problems, including respiratory issues, cognitive problems, and systemic inflammation. The symptoms often develop gradually and are easily mistaken for normal signs of aging. I've treated patients who experience significant improvement in their energy levels and mental clarity simply by changing how they stored their bread. One 72-year-old woman who had been suffering from what she thought was early dementia saw remarkable improvement in her memory and concentration after we identified that moldy bread from her refrigerator was the likely culprit. There's also the issue of nutrient loss. Bread stored in refrigerators loses many of its B vitamins and other nutrients that are particularly important for senior health. These vitamins play crucial roles in brain function, energy production, and nervous system health. The proper way to store bread is at room temperature in a bread box or paper bag for short-term storage, or in the freezer for long-term storage. If you must refrigerate bread, only do so for very short periods, and always check carefully for any signs of mold before consuming. Now that you understand the dangers of improperly storing these 4 foods, let me give you the proper storage solutions that will protect your health and actually enhance the nutritional value of your food. For potatoes, create a dedicated storage area in your pantry or a cool closet. The ideal temperature is between 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Use a cardboard box or wicker basket lined with newspaper to absorb moisture. Never store potatoes near onions, as they release gases that cause each other to spoil faster. For tomatoes, designate a spot on your kitchen counter away from direct sunlight. If you buy green tomatoes, place them in a paper bag with a ripe banana to speed ripening. Once they're perfectly ripe, you can refrigerate them for 2 to 3 days maximum, but let them come to room temperature before eating to restore their flavor and nutritional value. For onions, invest in a mesh bag or wire basket that allows maximum air circulation. Store them in your pantry, basement, or any cool, dry area with good ventilation. Keep them away from potatoes and never store them in plastic bags. Properly stored onions can last for months and will actually develop stronger, more beneficial sulfur compounds. For bread, use a bread box if you have counter space, or store loaves in paper bags in your pantry. For longer storage, slice the bread and freeze it in portions, removing only what you need. Frozen bread maintains its nutritional value and texture much better than refrigerated bread. Remember, proper food storage isn't just about preventing spoilage. It's about maximizing nutrition and minimizing health risks. These simple changes can significantly improve your overall health and well-being. You now have the knowledge to transform your kitchen from a potential source of health problems into a foundation for vibrant health after 60. The 4 storage changes I've shared with you today might seem simple, but they represent a fundamental shift in how you approach food safety and nutrition. Remember, your health is your most valuable asset, and every positive change you make, no matter how small it seems, contributes to a longer, healthier, more vibrant life. You have the power to take control of these hidden dangers that have been lurking in your refrigerator. I want you to go to your kitchen right now and check for these 4 foods. Remove any potatoes, whole onions, and unnecessary bread from your refrigerator. Let your tomatoes ripen properly on the counter. These simple actions today will begin protecting your health immediately. Your body has been faithfully serving you for decades. Now it's time to return that favor by giving it the properly stored, nutritious food it needs to continue serving you well into your golden years. If this information has opened your eyes to hidden dangers in your own kitchen, please share this video with other seniors who need to know this critical information. Hit the like button if you found this helpful, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, so you never miss important health information designed specifically for people over 60. Take action today. Your future self will thank you for the knowledge and care you're showing right now. Stay healthy, stay informed, and remember that the best investment you can make is in your own health and well-being.